Good morning, everybody. Today we're talking about a bit of a more serious topic. This is something that's come up for me as I've gotten married, as I'm now a father to a wonderful little 1-year-old baby girl. She's so cute and I love her so much. They ask, well, are you gonna keep riding motorcycles? Don't those things seem a little dangerous? Are you sure you wanna keep doing that as a man with a family and a daughter? And I gotta say, the feelings of do I feel guilty riding my motorcycle, I really don't, honestly. I don't, and there's a few reasons for that. You could look at the base facts of it and say, well, you know, I am the single earner for my family. My wife does not work, which is very nice for her. She does have a job. She is a mom, and that is a very hard job. Own my home, you know, I'm a business owner, so I make all the money for our family. And so I can definitely see how riding bikes would seem to be risky because it jeopardizes the ability for me to keep earning money and to, you know, be in a corporeal form on this earth. If I'm out here riding around and having fun, and then, you know, should I come off the motorcycle or something like that, it's obviously going to impact my family a whole lot. But really, it doesn't translate to guilt, and it doesn't translate to me wanting to not take risks or not ride motorcycles. What it actually translates to is a feeling of being as safe as possible. You know, I actually think I ride in a much better way nowadays that I have a wife and I have a family and I have, you know, to provide for people. It makes me take things a lot more seriously. To be honest, when I was a younger man and I had very little to live for, I rode in a much dumber way. And it made me realize that the vast majority of things that happen to us on motorcycles on the street are very much within our control. You know, everyone talks about the moment leading up to a crash or this and that, and oh, this guy turned out left in front of me, there's nothing I could have done. I gotta say, I've been riding for over 10 years now, on road, on track, off road, all around the world. There have been maybe 1 or 2 times that I've had the sort of like act of God things happen to me. I remember one time I was actually in my car and there was a Nissan Altima in front of me because of course it was a Nissan Altima. And literally the front left wheel of that vehicle popped off of the goddamn car, and the car just kind of went cantilevered like that and just skid down the road with only 3 tires. And the other tire was just bounding up and down, going into oncoming traffic, and luckily it didn't hit any cars as far as I saw. But that sort of thing would be an act of God, right? A fucking flying tire coming at you, you know, from the oncoming lane. That's a pretty crazy scenario. But again, in 10 years of riding and driving around, I mean, I've been driving for longer than that, but they're so exceedingly rare. And so it really makes you understand that when you're out here on the street and you're riding your motorcycle, a lot of stuff is well within your control. We've talked about this a lot on the channel, but the risk factors for a bike are not wearing a helmet, riding intoxicated, riding at night, not being properly licensed, not having advanced rider training, avoiding intersections, single vehicle accidents on twisty roads. I mean, if you're cognizant of all that stuff, you know, the chances of you having a serious incident are very, very low. So honestly, I don't feel guilty riding my motorcycle. All it does really for me at this stage in life is make me understand the severity of what I'm doing and understand the consequences. I've been involved in one extremely serious motorcycle crash and then one not so serious accident earlier in my riding career. And those really set me on a path to be like, wow, I never want that to happen to me ever again. And so that's what it is, man. Well, the other thing about it too that I think a lot of people try not to talk about, which I wish they would, I wouldn't be me if I didn't ride motorcycles. You know, I love riding motorcycles and they really make me feel like the type of person I want to be, you know. I find that when I don't ride for even a week or 2 weeks, God forbid, it's been pretty rare that I don't ride for 2 whole weeks, but I start to get kind of itchy. I start to get kind of like not really myself. You know what I mean? And I think it's really important for you to do the things you want to do in life and to feel the way you want to feel and to operate in a way that mitigates risk as much as possible. And honestly, guys, like, I know motorcycling can seem extremely dangerous. You see a lot of crash footage online and people doing crazy stuff and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot more low-key than you would think. I commute by motorcycle nearly every day to Yaminoob HQ. It's about a 30-minute drive on a good day, 45-minute on a bad day, mostly through roads like this, you know, surface streets, winding hill country roads, a little bit of urban traffic, and it's really pretty low-key, man. People are pretty predictable. It's not that bad, and I just find that when I arrive to the shop and I am calm, I am happy, I've ridden my motorcycle, it sets me up for such a nice day. I am very privileged that I get to basically play around with motorcycles for a living, you know, writing, reviewing them, scripting them, thinking about them. Like, that is my profession here on YouTube. But even if it wasn't, I still love the feeling of commuting by bike because, you know, for me, having a cup of coffee and then going for a morning ride, it just sets my day up for success. I feel so grounded, I feel so good, and I really, really enjoy it. And truthfully, life is kind of dangerous. Like, I think about my buddy at the track I was talking to the other day, who he's been riding and racing for many, many years. It's kind of like his outlet. He doesn't ride on street anymore. That was kind of his concession with his wife when he got back into riding motorcycles. And apparently he was cooking some sort of like shrimp scampi dish in his house, and he's got stone floors, and his wife was mopping up the floor behind him, and he's wheeling and dealing in the kitchen cooking the shrimp scampi, right? He apparently turns around and slides on the stone floor, sprains his wrist, hurts his ankle. He's out for several days. This is a domestic home injury, boys. I mean, I haven't been injured like that on a motorcycle in years, right? Anything can happen. You can get hurt walking out of your front door. So if your thought process for not riding your bike is, oh, it's not worth it for me to ride on road because of my family, because it's too risky, you can get hurt doing basically anything. Am I going to sit here and tell you that riding a motorcycle and walking around your stone kitchen cooking shrimp scampi are the same level of danger? Absolutely not. Riding motorcycles is pound for pound more dangerous than cooking scampi in your house. But I think that if you practice good habits and you stay committed to safety, you're not going to get yourself into that much trouble. If you stick to riding in the daytime, stick to riding routes you know, don't cook it too much in the corners, like all those very simple principles that we talk about here on the channel, you're going to set yourself up for way more success. And honestly, I have considered quitting riding on street many times. A few years back, actually, I was riding on track basically every weekend, and I was, getting more into racing, and I was doing a lot of club racing stuff, and I was kind of barely riding a motorcycle on the street because I was getting so much out of riding on track. But truthfully, I don't know, I've kind of ascended. I wouldn't say ascended, that's a bit of a silly way of saying it. I've kind of evolved my thinking a little bit in that my riding on street is just so much more zen than it ever was. I mean, you guys see me right now. Like, if you were to tell me 8 years ago that I'd be this, like, low-key touring adventure dad on my 660 Touareg with 80 horsepower, I'd be like, oh my God, who cut off my balls? Like, why am I doing that? But, you know, I ride at the limit on track nearly every other week, and it's a lot of fun. But I do remember a time that I contemplated quitting riding on road. I was like, I mean, it's not that fun anymore. What's the point? But I don't know. I've really come around that it's so zen and calm to just go for a big, long ride, 3, 4, 5 hours in the saddle. Just go out there, see some nice sights, just get away from everything. No screens. That's a really big thing, man. I think motorcycles are one of the most wonderful ways in the modern world to get yourself away from all the stupid screens we have everywhere. If you have a scrolling addiction, a computer addiction, man, motorcycles are so great to just engage your entire body, not worry about the screens, see some sights, particularly if you live in a place with more natural beauty and that sort of thing. It's a wonderful thing to jump on a motorcycle if you have, cool mountains and coastline and that sort of thing. But yeah, in terms of feeling guilty, I don't really feel guilty riding my bike, man. But we do tell ourselves stories to live, right? And the story I've woven for myself, is that this is a relatively safe form of transport if you mitigate the risks and blah, blah, blah. The story that someone else may tell themselves is that is a completely ridiculous way of transporting yourself in the modern world. And it very may well be that in like 100 years from now, people say, oh my God, like I can't believe that people used to ride these crazy two-wheeled things around strapped to a bunch of motors and stuff like that. Like, why would you ever do that? But I honestly think that it's going to get to the point where people just really will look back and say, wow, like that was actually really cool that we were able to do that, you know? Also, total side note, but if you've noticed there's no GoPro footage on this video, that's because I got this brand new helmet. I've not set it up for the GoPro yet. Very much enjoying the Arai XD5, by the way. Nice piece of kit. Speaking of riding your motorcycle and commuting by bike, we're actually working on a video. I think it's going to come out maybe in a month from now. I'm like kind of scripting it and thinking about it right now. Basically titled, you know, give me 15 minutes of your time and I'll convince you to ditch your car. Although motorcycles are pretty dangerous, God, pound for pound, cars are just awful for the environment. The raw materials, the road wear, the just like absolute lack of interest in driving them. Motorcycles are so special and so cool that I really think everyone should give them a shot. I know some people might say, Yam, people can barely drive their cars. You really want everybody on motorcycles? But maybe I have a more optimistic view of humanity that I think that if you're properly trained, you can ride a motorcycle. It's not that hard to ride a bike. You just got to figure out clutch control, and then if you know how to ride a bicycle, you're pretty much 90% of the way there. As long as you know how to work a clutch, a gearbox, and ride a bicycle, you can probably figure it out within a week, or just go to the MSF and then you're off to the races. So boys, I think that's going to wrap up today's vlog topic, talking about being guilty on your motorcycle. In short, as a family man, as a guy who is the sole earner for my family, I don't feel guilty about it, to be honest. And if you are thinking about quitting on the street, you know, that's an option you have to weigh for yourself. That's a very personal choice. And if you feel like the choice has been made for you that you'd like to stop riding on the street, I'm not going to blame you. I have thought about doing it many, many times, but I still come back to it, man. It's such a special feeling to be able to be on a motorcycle more often than not during the week. I don't think I'd want to be on two wheels for only a few hours every other week at best. I certainly enjoy just cruising around and getting out there and feeling my knees in the breeze, so to speak. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.